This is another exclusive rock music star interview. Conducted by Thomas S. Warwad Jr.
Welcome to episode number 35 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Warwad Jr. It is September 21st, 2021, and my special guest today is singer-songwriter John Corabi. During this interview, John discusses his brand new single entitled Cosi Bella, So Beautiful, and his recently completed autobiography called Horseshoes And Hand Grenades. In addition, John talks about his time in Motley Crue, which he was a member of from 1992 to 1997, the Love It or Hate It 1994 Motley Crue record, what led to his departure from the Dead Daisies, which he was a member of from 2015 to 2019, and much, much more. So get ready, here he is, John Corabi. Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 35 of the Rock Interview Series. And today I am very pleased to tell you that we have none other than the legendary John Corabi as our guest. John, how are you doing today?
I'm all right, buddy. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me here.
No worries.
Well, I guess what we'll start off by talking about your new single that you put out. New single called Cosi Bella, So Beautiful. Tell us a little bit about that song, and are we going to see more songs down the road? Is this going to be part of a record?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, there's more stuff coming. I'm definitely doing an album. It's just, to be honest with you, I actually started recording like an album. And then I was talking with Marty and Marty Fredrickson, who produced this stuff for me. And Marty kind of was the catalyst for me doing it the way that I'm doing it. He was like, he basically asked me, he goes, why are you doing a record? And I was kind of kidding with him. I'm like, what, okay, is this a trick question? Or like, you know what I mean? I'm a musician, but he was very adamant with like explaining how, back when we were growing up, if we wanted a record, we went to Tower Record or Virgin Record or Sam Goody's or, Walmart, Kmart, Best Buy, whatever. And we would go buy records and we would go see our favorite bands. He said, but like majority of those chain stores are gone. They don't exist anymore. And the mom and pop stores exist, but they're few and far between. Because the majority of people that actually buy music, the percentage of people that actually buy vinyl and CDs it's dropped so much. The percentage in the grand scheme of things is really kind of small. So he was telling me, he's like, dude, it's all about like, and then let me back up. The other thing is artists like myself are the chances of me getting on major radio play are slim to none. There is no MTV. So he goes, you have to look at everything differently now. He goes, the new radio is the streaming services. So he goes, you got to work the streaming services and then just make your song available for download. And there is no MTV, yes. So you have to work YouTube and social media. So this is my first single. I'm going to try and do like I'm doing now. I'm doing the interviews and shaking hands and kissing babies and, and and then about a month and a half or 2 months in, I'll drop another song and another video. And then I'll just keep doing that till I get maybe 4 or 5 songs out. And then what I would like to do is release vinyl and CDs. Now, the other thing is like, well, if there's really nowhere to sell them, what the other thing I realized is for probably the last 10 years or so, most of the records I've sold, I sold through either my website, Amazon, or at the shows. So I'm still going to do the same thing. That part's not changing, but I'm just kind of waiting, and I'm for lack of a better term, Marty was saying what you do is you release a single with a video and you work it. and then you release another single and a video, and you work it, and you let people know you're back, you're alive. You know what I mean? You're still here. And then he said, and then you drop your record. 4 or 5 songs in, you drop your record. So this is the beginning of the process. This is song number 1. And, probably a month from now, I'll drop another one, and then so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you plan on doing a tour after this?
I mean, I'd love to. The problem is right now, I'm actually working on my book, but I don't know what it is, but I'm still kind of struggling to maintain any sort of steady touring thing, because I mean, I just had a week's worth of dates in Mexico postponed. And then I had a show that I've literally rescheduled 4 or 5 times. I've rescheduled it with Molly Hatchet and Zebra. And I was supposed to do that in the beginning, September 4th. And it got moved again. So it's just been weird, man. This is a weird time right now with this pandemic and just the music changing and just the way everything's going on. So we'll see. I'd love to tour, get out,
Yeah.
put a band together, and go out and play some of this new music. So I'm thinking maybe I'll drop a song, 2, 3, and then put my band together, go out and start promoting this shit live as well.
Yeah. Now you mentioned you're working on a book. Was this something that you had planned, or is this something that happened because of the pandemic that you decided to work on the book?
It was kind of COVID related. And I make a joke about it in the book, but in 2019, I was busy. Like, I had left the Dead Daisies on January 1st, 2019. And but I was busy. I was like doing all these acoustic shows, and then I did a bunch of shows with my band doing the Motley 94 live tribute day or whatever. And so I went down to Australia, and I met this gentleman. I knew him, but I met him in person, and we started talking. And his name is Paul Miles. He's got a site called Chronological Crew. And it was one of those things where we were just sitting around, we were talking, telling stories, and he said, "Man, Crab, you got to do a book." And I was like, "Nah, like everybody's doing books now. It's a little redundant." And he said, "Yeah, I get it, but there's still, like, you've been in the business, and this is not just Motley related." He goes, "You've been in the business for over 30 years, and you're really kind of an unknown entity. Nobody really knows that much about you." So he said, I think there'd be a lot of people, so I caved, and we wrote the book together. He did he's written books before, so he actually kind of wrote everything. He'd send it to me. I'd read it. I'd make changes, do my edits. I'd send it back, and we did this 4 or 5 times. Then we got it to the point where we thought it was awesome, and we sent it to publishing companies, and we got a publisher, and then they re-edited, and now we did the audiobook, and it's they're looking at I believe it's April 12th of 2022, but I think they're going to take pre-orders the end of this year.
Mm-hmm. So it's all finished right now, right?
It's done. It's done. I literally just finished today. I finished the audiobook part, and I'm going back into the studio tomorrow. We're going to do a little bit of music for underlying accompaniment, and then I'm out of here and back to Nashville on Thursday. So it's pretty cool.
I can't wait to read it. Is this the type of book that's going to piss some people off?
You know what? I don't think about it. It's not a tell-all. And I'm pretty sure even with the Motley guys, anything that I'm talking about is kind of common knowledge. But I'm just talking about my state of mind, like how I felt when all this stuff was going on, like when Vince was coming back, and just and what I thought. And, so it may rub some people the wrong way. I don't really care. I don't, it's not a book about Motley or the Scream or the Dead Daisies or Union. It's just John Corabi from birth till, like right now, you know what I mean? So, and it's called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
Love it. That's a great title.
Well, it's funny. My dad, I tell the story about how I came up with the title. It was really my dad. And I lost my dad in 2014. And he just had he just had a way he was very dry, like not really a funny guy, but he would say things sometimes that you walk away from it. And then like a week later you go, that's actually really funny. So I remember saying to my dad one time, it was when I was working with Union, and he just called me on the phone and he said, how's it going? And I said, oh, it's great, Dad. He said, how's that new band working out for you? The Union band. And I said, oh man, it's killer. Our first record had just come out. So we're getting all this great press and all these people dig the songs. And I don't know, man. I was telling my dad, I go, I don't know, Dad. I really feel good about this band. Like, I think this is the one. I think this might be the one. Even though the Motley thing I did was pretty awesome, I think this might be the band. I think my ship has finally come in. And my dad just sat there for a minute, took a big puff of his cigarette, and he goes, yeah, well, if your ship's come in, don't be at the fucking airport. And it was like, whatever. But then I thought about what he said. If your ship comes in, don't be at the airport. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Work hard, get there, whatever. And then when I was talking about doing my acoustic record, I was telling him that I had some new songs I wanted to put out. I wanted to do an acoustic record. And he was very partial to watching me play acoustically. So he goes, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Acoustic record. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do, my new stuff, but I think I want to take some of my older songs and rework them and give them a second shot. And he goes, okay. What are you going to call the record? I go, joking with him, I said, yeah, I'm thinking about calling it John Corabi's Almost Greatest Hits. And he went, or you could just call it Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. And I finally said to him, I go, what does that mean? He goes, you don't have to be on the money. You just got to be close. So that's pretty much the story of my whole life, not even just with the bands, just with marriages, girls that I'm like, oh my God, I love this girl so much. She's the one. And then it didn't work out that way. So I just kind of feel like I've been this guy that's gone through my whole life being close, but not on the money. And even with just everything, I'm always at the right place at the wrong time. So I'm like, I got to call this book Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. It is what it is, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the Dead Daisies. I was very curious as to what led to your departure from the Dead Daisies. It seemed like the band had a lot of momentum going. And
well, it did, but in all honesty, I love those guys. There's no bad blood with us at all. I actually still talk to those guys quite a bit. I actually talked to Doug today. What the thing of it is, when I joined the band, initially when I asked me to join, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do it, because I was doing something with my solo band. I was out, I was touring, I was doing good business. I was in a bit like my drummer is my son. So I was having fun. And when Marco called, initially they said, yeah, we'll need you about half the year. And then the other half of the year, you could just go do what you want to do. And like, our thing will help your thing and your thing will help our thing. And but it was weird. Once I did that first record with them, Revolution in 2015, it just kind of blew up. It just, you know, and it was like record tour the whole year. Come right back to a new record, like Richard and Dizzy left. It was like we did 2 records the same year, technically, and within a year, and then right back on the road again. And, you know, so the schedule was maniacal in a good way. It was maniacal. But then I've got my son at home going, Dad, seriously, like I moved out to Nashville to be in a band with you. And, you know, we were kicking ass. And, you know, when are we ever going to do shows again? That was the first thing. And then the other thing, to be honest with you, like I had just gotten married in October of August of 2014. And February of 2015, I was gone. I was in the Dead Daisies and just gone for like 3 years, technically. And I was coming home, but it was like really brief. We were working our ass off. And so it's not like I left under bad circumstances. I just kind of tapped out and said, I need to catch my breath for a minute. I want to spend some time with my family, with my new wife and my kids, my granddaughters. My son has 2 identical twin granddaughters. I've been around them like that much. So I'm like, I want to go spend some time with my family. And you know what? I've got some music that I want to put out. So I'm just going to go work on this for a little bit. And they were like, okay, cool, man. And they were totally understanding. Awesome. Okay, great. But it's all good. Everything's great terms. Like David Lowey's always sending me little jokes through the mail and I'm sending him crazy stuff. I talked to the manager. I talked to all the guys in the band. So who knows if Dead Daisies called and said, hey, we're doing a 10th anniversary of Make Some Noise or Revolution or whatever. You never know. You know what I mean? I could do it again. I just needed a break because our schedules were just maniacal.
Yeah.
In a good way, but it was like we were just boom, boom, boom every day. Just it was crazy, the schedule. So I just kind of tapped out for a minute and went and caught my breath.
Yeah. One of the other things that you worked on during the last couple of years is you were working with Mick Mars on his solo record. Whatever became of that?
Well, technically I didn't work on the record. I only did 2 songs that Mick asked me to sing. And we were talking about possibly writing together, but that as well, like at the time, I was just going crazy with the Dead Daisies. And Mick was kind of doing still some shows on the end tour, which now we all know is the pre-end tour. But so he was busy, I was busy, and I was just like, you know, we talked on the phone and I'm like, dude, like if to write this record and do the things that you want to do, like I'm literally going to have to be at your house like 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day, like every day. And I just don't have that time right now. Like I was, when I talked with him last, it was right before we went in and started recording the Burn It Down album. And then we were just gone for almost a whole year tour. So it was just that we couldn't get our schedules together. But I'm as excited as everybody else is to hear this record. And apparently he's got a guy named Jacob Bunton singing on the record, and it's finished. It's in the can. And hopefully Mick doesn't overthink it too much and want to re-record everything again. But I can't wait to hear it either. So pretty stoked about it.
Yeah. And you've been in the press a lot, talking about Motley Crue, and there's rumors that you're like possibly gonna join Motley Crue if Vince Neil can get his crap together, and you responded that you would never go back to Motley Crue. And there seems to, Nikki Sixx over the years has said some things about you that weren't very positive. But the thing I wonder about that is that you worked with Nicky in 2004 with the Rise of Destruction. If he had any issues with you in Motley Crue as far as your songwriting or anything like that, why did he ask you to read you or work with him again?
Honestly, buddy, I would love to be able to put my finger on this. You're totally asking the wrong guy. And that's my point. Like, you know, I've had a few people ask me, like, oh, what's the beef with you and Nicky? And I go, I have no fucking idea. I don't know. Like, the one beef that I did have with Nicky was probably 10 years ago. And it was something in relation to his, I had done an interview and I was in Brazil, and the interviewer asked me a question, and they said, have you read Nicky's book, The Heroin Diaries? And I said, yeah, I own the book. I bought the book. And he said, what do you think? And I said, it's a great read. It's, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now the guy, I don't know if he was doing this to bait me or what, but the guy said, well, do you believe it all? And I said, you know, whatever, dude, it doesn't matter. It's a great read. He goes, well, do you think it was colored? And I said, of course it was. Well, why do you say that? Well, because the dirt was colored. I know for a fact the dirt was colored. And he said, you know, so then I told him about my story. There's a section in The Dirt. I don't know if you've ever read it, but there's a section in there where I go to Japan and you know, they made some comment or some shit in the book where it's like I supposedly slept with like 5 models or, you know, and all this shit in Tokyo. And I go, you know, I was kidding with the guy. I go, in all actuality, it was only 4, but whatever. You know, so we were kidding. And I said, no, I said, I truthfully, I said, it was like one girl I met in Japan. I went back to her house. I slept with her and I left Japan. One girl. And they had to, but so they beefed it up to make me sound like this wild and crazy and whatever. So it was colored. And then I said, and besides, all of the heroin addicts that I knew didn't have the foresight to bring a diary with them and write shit down as it was happening, or could not remember what they did the night before. Now, I followed it up with, maybe Nicky's different, but the ones that I knew, you know, so I think it was a little, it may have been a little colored, and we left it at that. Well, then like 2 months later, Nicky emailed me and he was pissed. He's like, dude, I don't appreciate you slagging my book. And I go, I didn't slag it. So I responded to him and I said, okay, first of all, a couple things. Did you read the whole interview? Because in the interview, I did say at the beginning and at the end that it was a great read and I bought the book. So, and then I said, why do you give a fuck about anything I have to say? And I just hit send. And then he came back and he was like, oh, okay, dude, sorry. I didn't read the whole. Okay, great. Awesome. And it was cool. It was put to bed. And I had zero. I didn't say any, I've never said anything negative about that band ever. But then all of a sudden he started with, you know, Corabi can't write. It was painful. He doesn't have any fire. And I'm just like going, where the fuck did that come from? It was just random. So, and now it's weird. Like if I retort to it, they take every little piece of retort and they dissect it and then they reprint just the parts that, you know, the clickbait, you know, and it's just been this ongoing thing. Like I'm saying Nicky doesn't like me, and it's just this back and forth volleying between me and Nicky, when in all actuality, I have zero bad things to say about any of them. They're irrelevant to me, completely irrelevant. And so I don't, it's just, Now, I don't know who that website is. I think they're called the Metal Den or some shit, whatever. But that was just random. Like first one, I let it go. And that was the thing. Like fans are clamoring for John Corabi to come back. I didn't say anything. And then the second one was Nikki issues an ultimatum to Vince Neil to lose 50 pounds or they're bringing John Corabi back. I still said nothing. But then the third one was John Corabi's in secret rehearsals with Motley Crue in LA. So I've got all my friends in LA are going, dude, what, you're in town? You're not going to call me? What's up, dude? You know, and they're, hey, is there any truth to this? So I'm getting these emails and I'm getting them on Messenger and I'm getting them on Instagram. Like, hey, is there any truth to this? But then as those emails go up, so do the other ones like, fuck you, dude, you're a loser. If you go out on tour with them, I'm cashing my tickets in. I want my money back. Fuck you. And I went, okay, here's the deal. You know, I don't know where this is coming from, but A, Nikki did not issue an ultimatum to Vince and use me as leverage. I can guarantee that. Number two, there were no secret rehearsals, not happening. And three, I don't want to do it anyway. I've already worn that shirt. I'm not going to do it again. So onward and upward. I got a book coming out. I got music coming out. I'm doing my own thing. That's done. That's put to bed. That was 30 years ago. Let it go. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I just don't get it, man. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks. So it is what it is. I can't stop people from writing shit and I can't stop people from believing it. It was funny too, because that last retort that I did, that website came right back with a fourth article saying John Corabi's kind of trying to cover his tracks. And the fact that he's actually, we get it from a source. And I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? No idea. Zero. Please. Yeah. There is zero truth to that stuff. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's got to be really frustrating when people like, you know, take things that you say out of context like that.
Yeah, and it's weird because a couple of years ago there was something that came up and it was when Nikki did that thing that whatever. And I thought I took the high road and I said, you know what? I want to thank Motley for all the stuff. And I had a great time with them and I'm proud of the record. And I wish Nikki, Tommy, Mick, and Vince the best in their future endeavors, but I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's done. Sent. And then it was like, they took all of that. They just took, John Corabi says he doesn't want to talk about Motley Crue anymore. So I just telling a friend today, I go, you know what's funny? I'm damned if I say nothing, but I'm damned if I say anything. So it's like, I just have to, like, when I see stuff, I just have to go, you know what? I'm just going to not respond. And I just need to let it ride itself out. You know, I thought I was being helpful by telling these fans, like, there's no truth to this. And it just keeps coming back and biting me in the ass. So I'm like, I'm done with it. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to comment. It is what it is. You know? Yeah.
So in retrospect, how do you look back on those years in Motley Crue? I mean, the record, a lot of people really thought the record was amazing. A lot of people who were, you know, diehard Vince Neil fans didn't care for it that much. But I mean, as a Motley Crue fan, I thought like musically it was probably their best record that they put out. Musically, I thought it was really impressive.
You know what? And it was just honestly like just four guys sitting in a room, jamming with each other and letting the music take them on a journey. In the beginning of the band, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I truly grew to love those guys as people. They were crazy, just like the book says. There was a lot of drama, but I had fun. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. And they went above and beyond and out of their way to make me feel good and part of the team. But at the same time, as much fun as I had with the guys, I never really truly felt like I was part of the team, because their team, not the guys, their team made me feel like I wasn't part of the team. People like their lawyer, their accountant, their managers, the record label, for God's sake, they'd just given them a massive record deal for like $30 million. And in less than a year later, they call them up and go, hey, we're getting rid of the singer. We've got this other guy. So the record label fucking despised me from the beginning, because that's not what they bought. You know what I mean? And, you know, so I never totally quite felt like I was part of the team. And then the one thing Bob Rock said to me when we were doing the album, he goes, you know what, Crab, this is a damn good record. He goes, this is every inch as good as Metallica's Black Album. But he goes, if it doesn't sell, doesn't matter how good this record is. If it doesn't sell, everybody's going to look at Motley Mach 1 and Motley Mach 2, and they're going to go, what's different? And it's this guy. You know what I mean? That's the secret, the new ingredient. That's what happened. And he goes, you're going to take the brunt of everything. And I knew it. It was stressful. So the second record, what became Generation Swine, as great as the first record was and how much fun we had doing it, it was the complete antithesis of the first record. We were pulling our hair out. We were fighting with each other. They were fighting with each other. And it was just a fucking chore. So as crushed as I was, when they brought Vince back, that's how relieved I was, though, at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. Do you know what I mean? I was crushed when they brought Vince back. But at the same time, I was like, ugh, I don't have to deal with this craziness anymore. I'm out. See it. You know, and it was hard at the end. But again, man, that's the cards I was dealt. That's the road that I chose. And, you know, I wrote it out. It was a great 5 years. And, you know, I learned a lot from it. So, you know, even bad experiences can be good for you. You know what I mean?
Do you think anything could have been done differently by the record company to promote that record better, or maybe release a
There
different
was
single?
no record company there. That's the thing. There, like, literally about 2 or 3 weeks after our so you have to, like, obviously you know this, but you know, there's Atlantic Records, Warner Brothers, and then there was Elektra. That's where that group WEA, you know, WEA. So that was the three things. And then above them is a company called Time Warner. So prior to our record coming out, this guy, Bob Krasnow, who was the president of the label, he re-signed Motley Crue to a huge record deal. But he also signed Anita Baker, Natalie Cole, and Anthrax to huge record deals as well. All three of their records came out before ours did. And they were, at the time, not accepted very well. So Time Warner went to Bob Krasnow and said, if this fucking Motley record doesn't debut at #1, you're out. And we, you know, I mean, I think we debuted at 6 or 7 or 5 or some shit like that, which was a really solid first week.
Yeah.
But it wasn't #1. So they immediately fired Bob Krasnow and the entire staff of Elektra. So Hooligan's Holiday was getting all kind of radio airplay. They were playing it on MTV. Then we go over, we're doing all this great press all through Europe, the record's being accepted by everybody, for the most part, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, your entire, and when I say entire record label, I'm literally talking 63 people lost their jobs. Get the fuck out. There's the door. So now we're on the road. We've got no record label. There's nobody there. And then we go in and do that famous interview with MTV, the one place that was supporting us. And Nicky was insulted by their questions. So he told them to go fuck themselves and threw them out of the room. So there was the other chunk of support that we had out the window. And at that point, we were the Titanic. We were just waiting to sink. So it was just, that's why I tell everybody, I said, you can do whatever you want to do. You can have the greatest record. You could do an album full of Hey Judes. And, if you give it to your record label and somebody there doesn't do their job, you're screwed. But the one factor that's really the biggest ingredient of a successful band is really all the stars lining up and just the universe working in conjunction with that band and everything they got going on at that time. And we just had like every obstacle against us at that time. Like the music scene was changing, no record label. We pissed off MTV. And then even with some of the comments that they said prior to the interview ending, they were really kind of slagging Vince quite a bit, which, drew a line in the sand, and it made the fans choose between us and Vince. So we were just screwed right from the beginning. You know what I mean? So that's did I know that was going to happen? No, I just know that when we got out of the studio, I was like, wow, this record is awesome. But that's just the cards. That's the way they fell. That's the hand that I was dealt. So I played the hand and I lost.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Next hand.
Yeah. John, the last question I have for you is, do you feel that was the highlight of your career, that particular record?
No. I feel like I'm evolving. I got to be honest with you, dude. The new single that I'm doing, everybody's like, wow, this is really not what I would have expected from you. But God, it's really good. Like, wow, it's really musical, and it's, and I've got some new stuff. Like, honestly, my wife, and she may be a little biased, but she's heard my Scream album. She's heard my Motley record. She's heard my Union stuff. And she's always said that she thought I was a really great lyricist. But now she's saying, like, wow, these lyrics on these songs that you're getting ready to release, she goes, I think you're really like tapping into some shit here. And I have to admit, I think that some of these songs are some of the best lyrics I've ever written in my life. Wow. So I hate using the term peak, because I did think that as well. At one point, I thought I peaked in '94, and I'm like, that's it. That was my brass ring, and I'm never going to get an opportunity again, But then came the Daisies, and I was consistently playing bigger festivals, sold out shows, all that stuff with the Daisies. So it's like peaks and valleys, man. You know what I mean? And I think the new music that I'm writing, I'm really excited about it. So I always got to think positive, always move forward, and make the best of whatever cards you deal me. I'm just going to play the hand. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, John, I appreciate your time. Hopefully we can get together after the book's done. I'd love to do another interview with you and talk about the book.
Absolutely, buddy.
Sounds good. All right, John. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.